Hey, Israelite Prepper here. Actually, Pastor Nobody, because it's not about the man, it's about the message with Israelite Prepper. And I just have a question. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Meaning, as a nation, what are we going to do? I mean, seriously. We have what I call in this nation radical individualism. Radical individualism. And, you know, what I'm saying is that I see a lot of bickering. I see a lot of fighting amongst, Hebrew Israelites. And we remain separate as a people. We argue, squabble, and quibble over different things. You know, what's God's true name? What about this doctrine? What about that doctrine? And you see camp versus camp. Camp versus community. You got IUIC, GOCC, ISUPK, and on, GMS, and on and on and on. And you have all these splinter cells and splinter groups and stuff like that. And it's got to be frustrating to a lot of you. It's got to be frustrating. And then we have another concept that you can look at. I would call it camps versus community. And some people are out there actually doing as far as it comes to community. Because see, and the reason why I say that is because when you have camps, they're out and they're, some of them are on the streets. I'm not going to knock the fact that they're on the streets. It's about what they're saying when they're on the streets. But you have camps out there and they're on the streets and they're trying to teach. Some of them are not. Some of them are just simply hating and just have an outlet for their rage. But you have them out there trying to teach, trying to recruit people into their camps and things like that. But there's no, at least it's kind of hard to recognize what their mission is. When you look at some of it, like, what are they teaching? What are they saying? What are they espousing? Things like that. And if you are crying aloud, sparing not, showing Israel their sins, then what is the plan? What is the end game? Yes, I understand when the Messiah comes and all that, but I'm saying in the meantime, I'm talking about what are you showing them before? And that's why I gravitate towards community. Okay? But that is no easy task. There's no easy undertaking on that. You know why? Because of radical individualism. That a lot of people, they have their own agenda. They have their own thoughts. Oh, I can teach better than this guy. Or I don't need no headship of this. I don't need to gather around with people. You just go and you learn the Bible for yourself. Of course you need to learn the Bible. You have to study to show yourself approved. I would never tell you not to study the Word for yourself. I would never tell you that. But if you're going to get back to your culture, if you want to get back to what's going on in the Bible, to look at what they were doing, to really examine the lifestyle, the culture, part of that is community. You can look up and down, dwelling together, brothers and sisters dwelling together in community. Yes, a lot of it was in Jerusalem, but you can see in other places where it was not in Jerusalem. Or if you look in the New Testament and you look at Acts, you look at the book of Acts and how they stayed together. Because, see, they had a tribal mindset. You can see things where they looked to men of renown. When they looked to people who knew how to run community, knew how to keep everyone organized. But that's going to be really, really hard to do because of radical individualism. Really, really hard to do. Now, I understand a lot of people, they don't even have a desire to be in community. But I'm talking about those who actually think about that they may actually want to be in community. It's time to take a heart check or a mind check. It's time to really look at it and examine. Okay, can you follow leadership? Can you give your time, resources, and your expertise for the betterment of a community as a whole? You really need to think about that. You really do. Because when it's time to, okay, well, I need to put some money in on this here project. We need to get some solar power. Let's get some panels going. Stuff like that. Can I dwell together with other people? Can I get along with other people? That's That's really what it's going to come down to. What are we doing? What are we doing? Are we trying to build a refuge for families and for ourselves and for our children? Do we want to know the brethren, and we want to build a community so that we'll know who our neighbor is? Are you willing to put your hand to the plow and work for you? Are you willing to go into a garden and grow your own food? Are you willing to enhance your skills and give of yourself and give of your resources? Because that's what it's going to take. Or are you the type of person who wants somebody else to do it all and you come in and reap the rewards? See, a lot of times in the Israelite community, we do want to actually come together and try to agree on some things. And some, not all, some want to dwell in a community. But what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? Because it's going to take some effort. Can you imagine a community, everyone's lazy? Can you imagine a community, everyone is selfish? Everyone is out for themselves. You don't need to go to community to have that attitude. Stay where you are. Stay in the cities. You don't even want to know your neighbor. You don't want to break bread with them. You don't want brotherhood, sisterhood, fellowship. You don't want any of that. Stay where you are. Forget this whole community thing. Don't waste your time. But if you really, really want this, if you really, really want to be in community, you got to figure out, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? Because it is going to take sacrifice. It's going to take sacrifice. Period. There's no other way around it. Camps versus community. Camp versus community. Community is going to take some action, some effort, some sacrifice. And if you're not willing to do those things, stop talking about it. There are communities out there right now active. And I'm going to have an interview going up pretty soon where some people are out there doing it. There's communities over there. There's communities out there that actually have a blueprint on what you should do. You got Yah's Victory over there. They have a community over there. I'm not talking about the doctrine or anything like that. I'm just talking about community. You got Shofar Mountain over in the Ozarks. They have community. And of course you have Straightway. They have community. But it's built by people who are willing to do what it takes. And all of them will tell you the same thing. People come, people go. If their heart's not right, their spirit's not right. You have to examine. You have certain expectations. But if you're willing to be molded and malleable and giving of yourself, having all things in common, breaking bread together, things like that, a sense of togetherness, everyone looking out for the betterment of everyone else. I'm going to have some of those interviews coming up for you, but I just want to ask that question. What are we doing? What are you going to do? What does it mean to you? Do you have that spirit of radical individualism in you or not? That's the question. What say you? Pastor Nobody, because it's not about the man, it's about the message with Israelite preppers. Until next time, brothers and sisters, shalom.